Good morning.
Braden here. Is your American workshop going in the wrong direction?
In this lesson, you'll learn about participles and alternative energy.
This conversation takes place in the morning after a workshop for the seminar.
And it's between Alexi and a woman from the audience.
Alexi and the woman don't know each other, and it's just after his first workshop. Alexi will be speaking professionally, but the woman will not. Let's listen to the conversation.
How much involvement did you have in the recent Syrian revolution?
Sorry, I think you may have misunderstood what I said. I have been living with my family in the United States for over 10 years, and other than sending birthday cards to some old friends, I don't have much contact with anyone in Syria.
What influence do you have in the Syrian government?
I no longer have any official capacity in the Syrian government.
So, who do you support in the Syrian revolution?
I apologize, ma'am, but I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding about the purpose of this workshop. If you'll remember, my workshop focused on alternative energies and how they are affecting the global economy.
So, what is Syria's policy on alternative energy?
Well, as I said before, biofuels are pretty much not an option for them. But while I was preparing to return to the United States, there was considerable talk about a new technology that focused sunlight using mirrors and magnifying glasses to heat water into steam. That steam would be kept under high pressure and then used in turbines to generate electricity.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about alternative energy.
Alternative energy is a category of energy used to describe any source of usable energy intended to replace fossil fuel energy sources. As such, the exact technologies and techniques which can be classified as alternative energy sources can and do change over time.
For example, many years ago, petroleum was considered an alternative energy to whale oil, and coal was alternative to wood.
Currently, the most common types of alternative energy are solar, wind, geothermal, biofuels and ethanol, and hydrogen. We spoke previously about renewable energy sources.
One of the criticisms of the term alternative energy is that it includes both renewable and non-renewable energy sources. For example, the hydroelectric dams and ethanol produced by Brazil are alternatives to standard fossil fuels.
However, in the debate between renewable and non-renewable energy sources and the debate about biological impact, wind and ethanol are alternatives to each other. This lack of specificity causes confusion in the media.
Let's take a look at the vocabulary for this lesson. The first word we'll use is
Involvement.
the act or condition of being involved with or participating in something.
Involvement. Involvement.
Our second word is
Development.
the process of developing.
Development. Development.
Our third word is
Contact.
communication or relationship with someone.
Contact. Contact.
Next we have
Whatsoever.
at all.
Whatsoever. Whatsoever.
Our next word is
Revolution.
wide-reaching change in how something works.
Revolution. Revolution.
Next is
Afraid.
feeling fear.
Afraid. Afraid.
Next we have
Misunderstanding.
a failure to understand something correctly.
Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding.
Next is
Workshop.
meeting where a group of people engage in discussion.
Workshop. Workshop.
Next we have
Alternative.
something that is available as another possibility.
Alternative. Alternative.
And our next word is
Energy.
the strength and vitality required for sustained physical or mental activity.
Energy. Energy.
And our next word is
Global.
relating to the whole world.
Global. Global.
And our last word is
Policy.
principle of action proposed or adopted by an organization.
Policy. Policy.
Let's have a closer look at the usage for some of the words and phrases from this lesson.
In the dialogue, we heard phrases that demonstrated correcting information.
Specifically, Alexi said, "If you'll remember, my workshop focused on alternative energies and how they are affecting the global economy."
The woman asking questions seemed to be focusing on something other than the workshop.
Alexi used a particular phrase to introduce his correction. He said, "I apologize, ma'am, but I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding about the purpose of this workshop."
It may seem odd that he said, "I apologize," because up to that point, he hadn't done anything he needed to apologize for.
This is a preemptive apology, or an apology made before offending someone. Alexi found it necessary to correct the woman in public to maintain the focus of the workshop. Publicly correcting someone is very rude in American culture. Therefore, he apologized in order to introduce his correction. Could you break this down for us?
I apologize.
And one time fast.
I apologize.
Next, we'll look at the phrase considerable talk. Literally, considerable talk means talk or discussion that is or can be considered.
However, the idea Alexi is trying to convey is a bit simpler. When someone says there has been considerable talk, they just mean there's been a lot of talk.
You'll more often hear this in a phrase such as, "There's been a considerable number of robberies in the past 6 months," meaning there have been quite a few robberies.
It can also be used as considerable amount of something. Alexi could also have said, "There's been a considerable amount of talk."
Okay, so could you break this down for us?
Considerable talk.
And one time fast.
Considerable talk.
Let's take a look at the grammar point.
The focus of this lesson is participles.
In the dialogue, we heard the phrase,
I think you may have misunderstood what I said.
"There are 2 types of participles in English, and each type is used in a variety of ways."
The first type of participle is the present participle. The present participle is often referred to as the ing form of the verb.
Let's take a look at past participles. Past participles are used in a similar manner to present participles.
For example, he has flown to São Paulo 5 times, and she has always walked to school. Participles are used for 4 main purposes. First, as the main verb in tenses.
Second, as adjectives to describe a noun.
Third, as adverbs to describe how something is done.
And fourth, in phrases that look like clauses combined to provide additional, defining information.
Now let's look at present participles. Present participles are used for continuous or progressive tenses. These include the present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous.
First, let's look at future continuous. For example, I'll be playing golf tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Next, let's look at the present perfect continuous. We have been talking for 10 minutes.
Okay, so now a quick jump back to past participles, which are used with the simple perfect tenses, such as continuous perfect or progressive perfect tenses. Progressive perfect tenses take the participle been plus the present participle. So, for example, have been playing or will have been working, etc.
In the past perfect tense, an example would be, my workshop had focused on alternative energy.
A future perfect example would be that steam would have been kept under high pressure and then used in turbines to generate electricity.
Future continuous. I'll be playing golf tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Now let's take a look at a way to use the participles as adjectives.
Participles can also be used as adjectives to describe nouns. The difference between the present participle and the past participle can make quite a difference in meaning.
For example, the bored man went to sleep during the discussion.
Or, the boring man put other people to sleep during the discussion.
So that's a quick difference between the two types of participles. In the first sentence, the past participle bored is used to mean that the man himself was bored. In the second sentence, the present participle boring is used to mean that the man was boring to other people. That just about does it for today. Thanks for listening.
See you later. Bye. How much involvement did you have in the recent Syrian revolution?
Sorry, I think you may have misunderstood what I said. I have been living with my family in the United States for over 10 years, and other than sending birthday cards to some old friends, I don't have much contact with anyone in Syria.
What influence do you have in the Syrian government?
I no longer have any official capacity in the Syrian government.
So, who do you support in the Syrian revolution?
I apologize, ma'am, but I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding about the purpose of this workshop. If you'll remember, my workshop focused on alternative energies and how they are affecting the global economy.
So, what is Syria's policy on alternative energy?
Well, as I said before, biofuels are pretty much not an option for them. But while I was preparing to return to the United States, there was considerable talk about a new technology that focused sunlight using mirrors and magnifying glasses to heat water into steam. That steam would be kept under high pressure and then used in turbines to generate electricity.